Dana, and behind the camera is Robbie, and underneath the table chewing on a bone is Rocky the Velociraptor, and over there with another bone is Otis the old man. We'll see if you hear from them today since they have some really good bones to chew on during this session. Today I'm going to make something that I grew up with. I made for my kids. They loved it. It's a German recipe, Rouladens. My grandfather was from Dusseldorf, and so we had a lot of really yummy German food growing up. So I decided to dive into the archives of my mom's recipes, and if you come here, I'll show you that this is how my mom kept her recipes. And you know what I didn't find in there? I did not find her Rouladen recipe, but I've made them hundreds of times. So we're gonna go ahead and make those. And I found another recipe. I'm gonna kind of add some stuff in there. And I also found German potato salad. My mom, there are literally recipes in here from the 60s from my mom. And then this is my grandmother's red cabbage recipe written on the back of a newsletter from Ascension Lutheran Church in St. Louis. So those are the things we're gonna make today. I'm gonna attempt to make a dessert in the downtime and maybe a cocktail. So let's get started. The first thing we're gonna do is make the Rouladens because they really need to get in the oven and braise. They're supposed to braise for about an hour and a half, but we don't got that time. So we're gonna try and get these done as soon as possible. I've already started making some and browned a few of them. There is, typically you would use something like a top round beef, sliced very thin, or or bottom round, or eye of round. I actually found these nice thin cross rib steaks at the grocery store today on sale, so I bought them. And cross rib is really near the ribeye in the cow, as I understand it. I'm not an expert at this, so they're supposed to be a little bit more flavorful. So we're gonna try that. First thing you do is you want to take these and you want to get some of this fat off of it, like this. And let's see, Venom Rex asked, where's Rocky? He is under the table chewing a bone. So we'll go take a look at him. I'm looking over here. You're over here. We'll go take a look at him in a minute. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get some of this fat off of here, okay? Some of this might be okay to be in here, like this little bit of marbling and everything, but some of this fat is just not going to get rendered down. It's still just going to be kind of chewy. Okay, so I've got two pieces. I've done a lot of these already. We're going to cut that off. All right, and then just like I like meat that you get to get your aggressions from the day on. We're gonna pound this. We wanna get it to be about that thin. Can you see? Can you tell? And we want it to be around 4 by 6 as far as size goes. See? Robbie's wondering if I'm thinking about him while I'm doing this. And no, I'm not.
Not today.
Somebody says, oh, Aladdin's girl has worst salad in the fridge, chilling for supper. Yummy. All right. So, I did a lot of these earlier. So, let's see, that's still a little thick. I'm going to tell you why I like this over a meat mallet is because with the meat mallet, I tend to, I don't know if you do, but I tend to tear the meat more. And this way, I don't really want like holes like this. If you have one or little ones like that, it's not a big deal. But when I have a hammer in my hand, I tend to get a little too aggressive with the meat pounding. All right, so that one looks pretty good. We're gonna do one more. Turn that over, do that some more. Try not to stab myself with a knife. And you can use plastic wrap or wax paper. If I've got a lot of this to do, which I did, because I had about 24 of these to do, it's actually worth it to use this. It's a little bit stronger, the plastic bags, and then you can kind of slide this across it, which you really can't do with the wax paper and the plastic wrap. So there we go with that. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of all of this. And we're gonna start, actually, you know what I'm gonna do first? Woo. I started heating that up. And that's got a little bit of burning going on there, so we don't want that. We'll turn that off for a second. Okay, so what I usually do is I set up a little space here to kind of assemble this. A rouladen has, now the way I grew up having it, it had bacon and dill pickles, a little salt and pepper. Traditionally, it usually has a little mustard and some onions in it as well, so we're gonna add that today into these. And I'm gonna start by washing my hands that I've been touching meat with. And we'll sing. Do, 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 do. We'll have to practice that, Robbie. A little bit. All right. I think I'm gonna wipe some of this out of here as I knock things over in my kitchen. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is get a little bit of mustard on each of these. And if you've got German mustard, that's probably better. I have Dijon mustard and yellow mustard in my refrigerator. I did have German mustard, but it didn't smell very good. And I have no idea when I bought it. All right. We're gonna just kind of spread that around on here. You can try and be a little more even than I am with the amount of mustard on each of these. That's why I use a spoon, because then I can move it over really easily from one piece to another. And I did do some of the prep work today just because I wanted to get these into the oven as quickly as possible. So I've already chopped my onions. It doesn't say to cook the bacon before you use it, but after all of the years of making this, I found that I like to cook the bacon a little bit. So I don't get it really crisp. I just kind of bake it so the fat starts to render. That way you don't get chewy bits of unrendered fat in your rouladens. So I prefer to do it that way. I'm gonna put some salt on each of these. And we're gonna put some freshly cracked pepper. And if you wonder why chefs do things from up here when they're seasoning, it makes it more even across the meat than if you're doing it just right here, trying to get that in. All right, now we're gonna take our bacon, and we're gonna put bacon on each of these. Let's put that one over there, because this one needs almost a whole piece of bacon. And you can see they're kind of cooked. Like, I wouldn't eat this, it's a little too not cooked, but it's good for this. And we're gonna use this other bacon that's not getting used in this when we make German potato salad. All right, so we've got our bacon in each of these. I mean, who doesn't like bacon? All right, now I've got some chopped onions here. We're gonna put some of those in there. I'm kind of excited. I don't think I've ever had it with chopped onions because that's not the way my mom made it. All right, now I take a pickle. I took dill pickles and I put them in fourths. I cut them into fourths, so they're about that big. You can of course buy slices, some that are already sliced. And then we're just gonna roll these up. And I'll put a couple of toothpicks in them. So I'm gonna come back and do these in a second. I wanna wipe some of the stuff that's in here out. And get it started. So that I can brown the rouladens as soon as we get them built. See, we don't want that. Ew. And that's only from me browning these a little bit earlier, and I left the pot on, so it got a little burned. Would you like to go get some paper towels? All right, that's pretty good. And now we're gonna put a little bit of olive oil. And I'm gonna put a little bit of ghee, which is clarified butter. So if you don't have ghee, you can use butter. Or you can just use olive oil or some other kind of oil in there. I just like to flavor butter. I like to have some of that in the pot. All right, now while that is heating up, we're gonna finish rolling these up. And do we have any question? Let's see here. Show it who's boss, yeah. Hi, I gotta look at you, right? Can we get some tax talk? Oh yeah, Mom makes them at Christmas. It's weird because like Christmas Eve, what my kids want are pizza pockets, which seems like a not very Christmas thing, but that is what we do for Christmas. Christmas Eve. Christmas I usually make a rib roast. As a matter of fact, those of you who know Cody, when he was here last time, he was so excited. He learned how to slice a rib roast, and he did a fabulous job, and Robbie was more than happy to give up that job to Cody. He did a great job. I'm not tying them up. A Latin girl is asking me if I'm tying them up. I'm actually using toothpicks, but you can also use twine as well and actually could probably get better browning by doing it that way because you won't have the toothpicks getting in the way. And let's see here, ice and pickles. There we go. I'm glad that my daughter likes me. That's good. Thanks, Kelsey. I know this is your brother's favorite, but Kelsey, is this one of your favorite foods too? Is the rouladens? Aladdin's girl wants some pickles. They are really good. But yeah, just a couple of toothpicks, keep them like this, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna brown these. I would have actually browned these in 2 different batches anyway, because if you crowd the pan too much with meat, what it starts to do is it starts to steam rather than brown. So you get kind of gray meat. So we're gonna stick these in here for a couple of minutes. I've got the oven ready so that we can braise. I'm gonna end up cutting myself at some point. So that we can braise these in the oven. Once we're done browning them. All right, so we're gonna brown them. Let me see here. And I guess I could wash my hands. That would be a good thing to do right now. We could sing again, but all right. So what we're gonna make after we're done putting this in the oven is we're gonna make red cabbage. So if you grew up with a German grandma, German grandpa, German traditions, you probably have a red cabbage recipe My mom never really made it, because even though she had the recipe in her file, but she never really made it for us because as kids, my brother and I didn't like red cabbage, and my dad didn't like red cabbage, so she'd be making it for herself. So, but she did make sauerkraut, because we all like sauerkraut, which is weird because that's also, you know, cabbage. But maybe something, I don't know. We were just weird. What can I say? Now you could put this in a lower type pot, like I don't have it out in a lower pot, but I like cooking things like this that I know are going to spatter, and then I'm going to braise in a taller pot. Sometimes I'll make things in a lower pot, but this just keeps it from spattering all over me, because Robbie can tell you I spill things on me all the time. I spatter stuff on me all the time because I forget, oh yeah, when something that's got water on it hits oil, it's going to spatter and burn me. So I'm really good at burning myself. I'm really good at cutting myself in the kitchen. These are things I excel at. So, all right. So a few of you have eaten rouladens, which I think is awesome. I ate so much German food growing up, and I didn't realize that so many people didn't. So a lot of people didn't know what rouladens are, including Robbie. And I just always assumed people would know what that was, you know? Except they didn't. All right. So you can see these are starting to get some nice brown, starting to make some juice. I don't think they're going to really brown much more in here right now. So we're going to take these out, and I'm going to start making the base for what it's going to braise in. And so the first thing we're going to do, I think I'm going to add a little bit more olive oil in here, but not a lot. And I'm going to put these in here for a couple of minutes. And while that's happening, I did not do my mise en place, so my garlic isn't ready. So let me go grab it. It's always better if you can get all your ingredients ready before you use them. Okay, this now has meat juice on it. And here's my non-meat juice place to work here, right? So if you're not used to using garlic, or you've always sat there and tried to peel the paper off of your garlic, the easiest way to do this is put your knife flat on the garlic, smash it like this, and then it's really easy to take off the paper once you do that. This is a little too hot. Turn that down. So we've got the onions going. I need to throw the garlic. This in here is 1 carrot that's been chopped and 1 stalk of celery that's been chopped. So now we're going to stick that in there and let those soften a little bit while I get the garlic. I tend to, a lot of times it tells you to put garlic in first. You got to be really careful with the heat when you're cooking with garlic. It'll burn really, really quickly. So I prefer to put it in a little bit later so that it doesn't burn, because burned garlic does not taste good, but garlic tastes good. Actually, I don't need those right now. Okay. This recipe also calls for leeks. So while that's doing this, I'm just going to use about this much of I'm only going to use about this much of this leek in here. Okay? And the thing about a leek is they are really dirty. So once you have cut them, or before you cut them, you can take the leaves, but if I took this off, you can see that even though I washed this, there's still a lot of dirt in it. So I always take these before I put them in my food and stick it all in a colander or a strainer like this and just rinse them really good. You can also put them in a bowl, put the whole thing in a bowl and really swish it around really good, but you're probably still gonna end up with dirt in there. So leeks are really yummy. Just make sure you wash them really, really well. All right. What is in the big bowl? Let's see here. What do I have? I burn myself a lot, but don't cut myself a lot. What is in the big bowl? This big bowl, this is other rouladens. This big bowl up here. The big pot on the stove is actually my potatoes for the potato salad. We'll get to that soon. All right. Can you smell that already? Yeah. All right. So after this, I want to put in how much? What? Red wine. All right, we're gonna put in a cup of red wine. And the reason we're doing this, well, A, we're braising it. B, this will actually become the gravy afterwards. And now we're gonna turn this up and let this come to a boil. And then after that, I am going to add some other stuff. I'm gonna stir it. Okay. I'm going to be adding, so that was 1 cup of red wine. I'm going to be adding 2 cups of beef broth, a little bit of tomato paste, and a bay leaf. And then we're going to put these back in there, and then they're going to go in the oven. So I'll give this a second. And we want the flavor of the red wine, but not the alcohol-y taste of the red wine. And so if you put the red wine in first, you can reduce that down and kind of get that alcohol-y flavor out of it. Whereas if I put in the beef broth and everything else, I don't know. I like doing it this way. I could be wrong. I'm not a chef. Okay. So that's been going, so I'm going to put 2 cups of beef broth in. Which is a lot. So we have a lot of rouladens. I think we've got about 2 pounds of, a little over 2 pounds of rouladens. I'm going to take a bay leaf, or apparently segments, little pieces of bay leaf. Where's the whole bay leaf? That's close. That's close. Okay. Put in about a tablespoon of tomato paste. Get that all mixed together. That smells good. Okay. And now I'm going to start putting my rouladens back in there. So these are my rouladens that I did before I got on the air. The juice that's at the bottom. And then these. We'll get all those in there. And my hands are greasy, but that's what the apron is for. And now we're going to put it in a 325-degree oven. And like I said before, if you're making these at home, give yourself about an hour and a half of the braising. We're not going to be giving it that long, but it'll still be really yummy. All right, into the oven. All right, 1 dish down. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, there were 2 bowls of roulades because I had made a batch so that I wasn't taking all day just cooking the rouladens and pounding rouladens out. Okay, let's see here. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do red cabbage because that's actually another dish that needs to cook for a while. And I've got a pot over here already to get ready for it. And I'm actually gonna pull, I've got my grandma's recipe over there. Wait a minute, let me pull my grandma's. Poor Bobby. I'm not the easiest for camera person to handle. Let's get all that out of the way. See, this doesn't exist. You don't see this over here. This is so that my station stays clean over here. Okay. All right, next, this lovely recipe, right? So we're gonna take a head of cabbage, which I'm gonna grab. Red cabbage. And I'm kind of combining. Oh, you know what I need? What? Oh, okay. Do you know what I need? Can you go get a bottle of the beer, or two if you want, one out of the other refrigerator? He gave me a thumbs up. He didn't give you a thought. He needs to so you can see it. Okay. Oh, what was the white stuff I sprinkled on before the pickles? That was just salt. It's kosher salt. I almost always cook with kosher salt unless a recipe calls for something more specific. So that's all that was. And then onions, and then there was onions. So it was not cheese. You don't find a cheese in any rouladens from Germany that I know of. I could be wrong. All right. So we're gonna take this cabbage and let's see what it says to do here. Okay, I'm only gonna do a half a head. And it's so funny because I told you my mom writes notes on all her recipes last time. So if you were here last time, you heard me say, here she is on this little thing from some magazine and she has all her little notes on it. Which is helpful when I'm trying to learn how to do something and poor Kelsey's just gonna be pretty much on her own unless she takes my mom's. I think Kelsey has one of my mom's cookbooks, but I could be wrong. All right, here we go. I'm gonna slice this really thin. I actually think doing cabbage, slicing up cabbage is kind of fun. Put it in this pot. Gosh, I thought this pot was gonna be too big. It's clearly not. Okay. Alrighty, so we've got that. That's close enough. And then, what do I want? I need, let's see here, we need an apple. That's what I need. I knew there was something major. So I'm gonna peel the apple. And I'm gonna do it over here into a bowl. And I'm using a Granny Smith apple, by the way, for this. They're nice and tart, and they won't turn to mush in the red cabbage. And don't forget, the mess over here doesn't exist. That's what I'm going with. That's the story I tell myself. All right. And then we're going to slice this apple. Is that good? My cameraman's drinking on the job. Shh. All right. And then we're just going to slice that into very thin slices. And you know what's funny? I remember eating my grandma's red cabbage, but I don't remember there being apples in it, but there clearly are because it's on her recipe, or on the recipe my mom wrote. right. Get those in there. Another thing, and I'm not very good at this yet, I'm still working on it, is that when you're chopping things, you're keeping your fingers like this will help keep you from cutting yourself. I'm clearly not good at that since I cut myself all the time, is to keep them kind of like this. And then that kind of guides your knife cuts. So I'm still working on it. Myself, some apples. Could you do this with green cabbage too? You could, but then you're probably making something that's closer to sauerkraut because you're definitely not making red cabbage if you're using green cabbage. But I'm sure that you would get some sort of similar texture and kind of flavors from it. I think of red cabbage as having more of a sweet element to it, at least for me growing up, whereas sauerkraut has kind of a more savory flavor to it. So anyway, all right, so let's see. We've got that. What else do I need? I need some water, some vinegar. My mom says 6 tablespoons of water. I'm gonna go with about 1/3 of a cup because, you know, my mom loved it when I just made up my own recipes. 1/2 cup of sugar. I think I forgot to put that in some. And see, while I cooked some stuff before you got here, I definitely did not prepare everything. So, there we go. There's 1/2 cup of sugar that's gonna go in there. We need vinegar. That's a real important thing in red cabbage. You could use white vinegar, or I'm going to actually use apple cider or apple cider vinegar, and that is 1/4 of a cup, which I think. Actually, I can do it from here. And this is also supposed to have some beer in it. So we're gonna do the beer. 1/4 cup beer. Now I do remember my dad worked for Anheuser-Busch. And so any kind of food we could put beer in, we'd put beer in. So I think if you were here last week, Thursday, whenever that was, I said that my what did I say? Now I can't remember. Oh, that my dad didn't eat chicken other than fried chicken. So even when we were making fried chicken, part of instead of milk, like most people put it in, we put it in beer and then in the batter, in the dredging. And then if we were making chili, brisket, pork roast, anything we could find to put beer in, beer got put into that. And then I need some melted butter. So we're gonna, how much butter is in there? 2 tablespoons. Oh, darn it. Told you. I actually make good food, but I am a mess in the kitchen. And don't worry about my kitchen towels. They are so freaking old and need to be replaced. Okay. You know what? Let me just take a second here to clean this up. All right. I'm back. A couple tablespoons of this. We're going to stick that into the microwave. Which my microwave is under my counter. It's a drawer. It's kind of cool. It's not as practical as other microwaves. Among the things I would probably do differently if I did my kitchen again. But it's nice because you don't see it, right? All right, and then the last thing I need for this is a chopped onion. Except I'll only need half because we're only doing half the recipe. Here comes my trusty sous chef trying to stay out of the camera, which he doesn't need to because he's a perfectly nice human being. Yeah. Is that what you're saying? All right. That's close enough. It's partially melted. It'll melt. The pot will get warm. Guys all for coming. It's really awesome. I see Rex Rocket says the apple cider vinegar helps maintain the bright color of the cabbage. I didn't even think about that, but you are right. It would do that. I'm sure some people, while I am sitting here just slicing this and getting this started, you want to show them? You want to show them Rocky? And see, so you guys can see him. So everybody saw Otis. There's Rocky. He's pretty content eating his bone down there. We were smart. Mostly smart. Okay, so now we got all of that in there, and we are just gonna let that baby cook. That is putting on. Okay. Get the lid, and we're gonna let it go. And that's because this and the rouladens take a very long time to cook. Now I'm gonna clean up my space a little bit, so, you know, sing to yourself, or Robbie can show you more of the puppy, or tell us what you'd like to see while I clean up my mess a little bit here. How did I learn to cook? So Crafty Gamer 80 says, how did I learn to cook? I've been cooking since I was young, cooked for my brothers and family most nights growing up. You know, I didn't do a ton of cooking when I was younger. I helped my mom in the kitchen some, but it was things like shucking corn or slicing something. So I didn't do a ton of cooking. I wish I had. I wish I had done more cooking with my mom when I was younger. But I guess I was just all over the place and wanted to do things that I thought were fun for a kid to do. But being in the kitchen with her and my mom, like we always hung out in the kitchen. Even when we had a kitchen that was not like 2 people, it was full. And just kind of watched the cooking. And as I got older and started asking more questions and staying in the kitchen and helping and cooking more. And really in the last few years, I've just started kind of doing my own thing. So I'll take the recipes that maybe my grandma and my mom taught me, and some of them I love and just keep them exactly the way they are, and some of them I kind of tweak. Because it's funny, the recipes that they use, all those ingredients aren't available, or we know that there are better ingredients to use, so I kind of switch it up a little bit that way. All right, let's, for now, so I don't get purple all over the refrigerator. We'll stick that in here. I think I made red cabbage when I had my purple. I was doing things on Facebook because I was bored during the pandemic and stuck at home. And Kelsey challenged me to cook a different color every night. So there was a night I had to do purple. And even though it's called red cabbage, I put it in my purple one. I'm gonna keep that up, and I'm gonna clean up a, I think I actually have one more. More dishes for Robbie. Woohoo! I'm so excited. All right, this, can you put that in the laundry room since that's. So, clean up your space. And actually, usually when I'm cooking, like if I'm cooking and having people over, I do mise en place. So I cut up everything that can be cut up. I prep everything that can be prepped so that I can be ready when people come over. If you want to make something like this and you don't have time to make the red cabbage from scratch, a lot of the good German delis and a lot of good grocery stores carry red cabbage already made, and you just have to heat it up. I don't think it's that hard to make, so. And then watch me mess it up tonight, because that'll be perfect. So King of APOC has asked me what we're making today. Good question. So anybody who wasn't here before, that hasn't been in here or came in late, I'm Dana. It's Robbie behind the camera. Well, let's see, Rocky is now over there. Otis is over here. They each have their own bones. Tonight we're making rouladens, red cabbage, and German potato salad. And if I have time, I'm going to try and start throwing together a German apple cake that might be done by the time we're done here. We'll see. Okay, so next we've got the rouladens in the oven braising. We've got red cabbage here braising, and now we're going to tackle the German potato salad. This is another thing when I was growing up, is that I grew up with German potato salad, which is warm. So people thought I was crazy, you know, and I was like, where's the warm potato salad? Because we'd go to picnics and you'd have your mayonnaise or your mustard-based cold potato salads. But that's not how I grew up. So I could not, again, find the recipe that I know that had green beans and stuff in it that my mom used to make, but I did find in her lovely filing system over there, I did find a hot German potato salad one in here. So that is the one I am going to make, okay? I've already boiled the potatoes. Now, this recipe actually called for me boiling whole, not peeled potatoes. And I thought, I'm not gonna try and peel a potato after it's been cooked. Some of the people out there who've been cooking German food, because I think some of you have, like Rep Rocket, but disagree with me, but this is the way I do it. This out actually has you also preparing stuff and putting it into foil. So I am gonna do that. That is not the way my mom made it. I'm gonna keep searching in her lovely filing system over here, for those of you who missed it, and look for her recipe that we used to have with the green beans and the warm potato salads. But one of the big differences too, on top of it being warm, is it actually is pretty vinegary. So it has a different, just kind of flavor profile overall than what we think of as American potato salad. All right, so I only cut butter with this. These are already cooked. We're gonna try and cut these into kind of, I don't know, 1/2-inch cubes. But I'm also not a mathematician, or an architect, so these may be not quite 1/2-inch pieces. But basically you want bite-sized pieces. Also, I'm going to get some foil. The one thing I like, even though this recipe has, this kind of dinner has a lot of things going, so much of the stuff is done prior. You can clean the kitchen, get ready for your guest, and things will stay in the oven or on the stove braising, and you can enjoy your time with your guest as opposed to those last minute things that you're cooking. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So this is new to me, so we'll see if this turns out.
Since this isn't the recipe, I guess I haven't made German potato salad in a very long time if I can't find my recipe card and I can't find my mom's. All right, so we're gonna chop all this up. But again, the most important thing when you're cooking is try to make things as uniform as possible so they cook at the same rate as they're going. So let's see here. What are you guys doing tonight? What do you fix for Sunday night dinners? This is something we would do. We do this or we would grill some food. Growing up, when I was growing up. I'm not gonna be able to do all of this. It's not all gonna fit in here. I'm gonna do that much. I will just, these were really big potatoes. I think that's the thing. It asked for medium potatoes and I think these were like super big russet potatoes. That's, by the way, too, russet potatoes for this. We want them to kind of sort of hold their form. You gonna eat the potatoes I'm dropping on the floor in this? Did he finally go outside? All day long we've been trying to get him outside. He goes outside now? Okay. The raptor is outside. Usually that's the time for us to have a big sigh of relief and go, a minute, where we don't have to see if he's chewing on cords. He has chewed through about 3 cords, broken a lamp. What else? Recently, oh, he pulled over. I have this big, heavy antique door in my room that has mirrors, that has a mirror on it. So I use it as my full-length mirror. And then it has some hooks on it that I hook things on. And he got into the bedroom. Usually the door is closed. And when I let him out, he realized that was open. So he ran to the bedroom and I think he got something caught on the door or something, but he pulled it over. So he's actually pretty lucky he's alive. Because had that door fallen on him, that thing weighs, I don't know, how much do you think that weighs? It's a solid wood antique door. And he doesn't even know it. He's like, do. I think something went wrong. Glass everywhere. He could have cut himself. So, but luckily he's okay. He is okay. So yes, Kelsey, if you're listening, that big antique door in my bedroom is a goner. Okay. So we've got the potatoes done. We're gonna do some onions again. And you know the best part about German potato salad? Bacon. All right. I don't need a lot of minced onion. I think it's just about a tablespoon of it. Oh, and because I'm not even doing the whole thing, I don't even need a tablespoon. Alrighty. Hi, Viscount 10. What is being made today? Today we are making beef rouladens. And if you don't know what that is a German food, and it's this thinly pounded steak that's got bacon and dill pickles and some onions and some mustard all rolled up in the middle of it. And that's in the oven right now braising. We've got some red cabbage braising here. I'm making some German potato salad. So that is what we're making today. So I put the minced onions in there. Now here's what I need to do for this. I need to take this bacon and I need to crisp it up. And Robbie loves it because it's another pan for him to wash. So we want this bacon to actually be crisp. So I'm gonna return this bacon to the pan. We're gonna get it crisped up. We're gonna get some bacon grease in here.
And then we're gonna put some other stuff in here to make kind of the dressing for the potatoes. So let's see here, what does it say? I should have had this going while I was chopping up the potatoes, right? Oh well. Are you pointing? Oh, I thought you were pointing. All right, Bachelor Chow. Let's see. Oh, bird's eye garlic chicken pre-made kit. I mean, you know, one of the things, I had kids and I didn't have time to cook like this when they were growing up. We would have the occasional meal, maybe a Sunday or something, but they had so many activities. And if you're busy or you're single or whatever, you do what you can. Just take care of yourself and eat. I mean, this is fun for me. This is why I do this. And I'm going to turn this down. No, not that one. This one. Okay. I'm actually going to put this probably. I'm running out of room, Robbie. Usually you do the dishes for me as I go. Later. So I've got that on low on that burner. This one actually doesn't have as much heat. It's a smaller burner, so I put it there. So I'm hoping in the future, as I start to cook these things, you know, I've tried to do a couple of my favorites in these first two, but I'm hoping to kind of show you guys, here's how you can do everything from scratch, but here are also the shortcuts that you can do if you don't have time to cook. Because, I mean, to me it's sad that we don't do as many family dinners, and I am not pointing fingers at anybody because I would have to point my finger even at me as my kids growing up, is that we would go out to dinner a lot. And then I did a lot of easy, fast, quick dinners with them as well. So whatever you gotta do. Like, I like making my biscuits from scratch when I'm making a chicken pot pie, but if you've gotta buy the pre-made biscuits because you don't have time, and you're doing some other pre-made stuff, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. All right. So we've got some new people in here. Thank you for coming. I'm frying up some bacon for some German potato salad. That's what I'm doing right now. And should we see what do the rouladens look like in the oven? Should we take a look? So they're cooking in there. I feel like it needs to be hotter, but we'll see. Because it doesn't feel like it's breezy. I'm going to turn that up a little bit. Alright, so we're crisping our bacon up because for the rouladens we didn't need crispy bacon. But for the potato salad, we do. Is that too much bacon? 2 dishes with bacon in it? Robbie says no, but what do you guys think? Is that too much bacon? Somebody is instantly hungry now. Rat zombie. So, never too much bacon. Can't have enough bacon. Awesome. Well, then this might be the meal for you. All right. Did we get paper towels? You're the best. Thank you. All right. So we're gonna take that out. There's a little burnt part on that. And then, I love the smell of bacon frying. It drove, I think, Rocky a little crazy earlier. Otis knows there's bacon. He's standing behind me. Okay, so now I am going to, oh, look what I did. I put the onion in here and I wasn't supposed to. Okay, that's fine. We're going to pivot here. We're going to take a little bit of this onion that I've got left over here.
I'm gonna turn this down so I don't burn stuff again. And we're gonna put that in there. And then what am I gonna do? Onion, flour, salt, pepper, celery seeds. Sorry, this is not my recipe, so I'm a little, okay, so we need celery seed, and we're gonna put some sugar, and I think I have the sugar someplace already. I did. All right, so I'm gonna put a little sugar. This says to put the sugar over the potatoes. Okay. And a little celery seeds. I'm sorry, not salt, but seeds. So just a little bit. We don't want it to overpower. I love celery seeds. They smell so good, and they're so good in a Bloody Mary. Maybe that's why I like them, because they're really good in a Bloody Mary. We want some salt, some pepper, which is already over here. I think having a little extra of this is going to be bad. And then I need vinegar. How much vinegar? All right. So a little bit of vinegar. I'm going to put in here. As I get lost in my kitchen. And honestly, I don't think that's enough bacon fat to be. So this is from when I fried my bacon earlier in the oven. So we're just gonna take a little bit of that fat and stick it in here and let it melt into the other bacon fat and the onions. Because honestly, you just can't have enough bacon fat. You can, but this isn't that much. All right, so now we're gonna pour that. And we'll see if we like this one. This one doesn't have my mom's green beans in it, so I don't know. Now we're gonna take our bacon. It's not quite as crispy as I want, but since it's gonna go back, it's gonna go in the oven too and cook. I'm sure some of that fat will render out into those potatoes, and then it'll be like bacony potatoes. So hopefully that sounds good. So let's see here. Cooking is a bonus. For some people don't like cooking, but I love cooking because for me it's a chance to be creative, and not everything is going to work that you cook, and especially for me because I quite often just go, that's good enough. But Robbie's not complaining, so I'm not too worried. Right? All right, now that I have bacon grease all over my hands, my dogs would love me. Do you want, oh, you've got both beers. Are both beers open? Oh, okay. All right, so we're gonna close this up and put it in the oven. Here's the way I do it for those of you who don't cook. I take the tops, I roll it down, and then I take the sides and I roll them in, and that keeps all the goodies and all the yummy stuff inside the foil. I don't take anything for granted because I've seen some, I remember one of my kiddos, when I was telling them how to cook while I was on the phone in the car, saying, okay, just get the water boiling and then do this. and they called me back and said, I don't know how to boil water. And it's like, well, if you don't know how to do it and nobody's taught you, then how should you be expected to know that? So, all right, so this is gonna go in the oven. I'm gonna put it next to the rouladens and we'll see if that turns out really good. It sounds good. I mean, bacon and potatoes. Sounds good. Okay. Whew. All right. So dinner's cooking. Dinner's cooking. I think what I'm going to do right now is clean up a little bit and make myself a cocktail and then make some, actually we should probably make the cake first. This is how I cook. I mean, Robbie's drinking a beer. This is clean. Alrighty. Let's clean up some of this. I don't need the garlic. I'm done with the onion. Should I attempt to make this cake? Or do you think we've got enough food going? Cocktails, let's go. I'm with you. I'm ready. I'm ready for a cocktail. But do you think we should start the cake and get that started? It's like an apple, it's a German apple cake that I've never made before, so it could be quite hilarious as I try to make it. All right. Robbie's like, do what you want. Okay, can you do me a favor and clean a cutting board for me? I will try to take hold of this as I try to make this. I only need one. So this is called Oma's Apfelkuchen, and I'm sure I butchered that, and Papa's probably like, that is not how you say that. I'm sure. Okay, so what we need to do is preheat an oven to 350, which, ta-da, done. I've got that done. I've got egg yolks sat out. It says to let the egg yolks stand at room temperature, which they are. And then to cut an apple. So I need a knife too. And let's see. I need to do apples. Okay. And I've got 2 more apples. I didn't have 2 of any one kind of apple, which I know is kind of weird because most people don't go and buy like one of every kind of apple that they can find. But that's what I did, and then I decided to make this cake, and then I didn't buy any more apples. So I am using a Jazz apple and a Honeycrisp apple to make this cake. These should be pretty good. They're sweet. They don't get mushy easily, and they're also tart, so that should be good. All right, so we were going to margarita on the rocks. I was actually going to make, when I do my cocktail, I'm actually going to use a German brandy and make a German Manhattan. But let's do this. Where did my, there it is. We'll pull these apples here so I can sit here and talk to you guys. I love Honeycrisp apples. Viscount 01. Sorry, if I get your names wrong by saying them, just somehow correct me. I don't know how you're going to do that since you'll still be typing it. But if you have something you prefer to be called, I'll try to do that. And, you know, my glasses are terrible. They are scratched up and they are dirty. I'm terrible to my glasses. I get yelled at every time I go to the eye place. There's the guy there, he kind of shames me. He looks at my glasses and he's like, can I take these and clean these for you? And I'm like, sure. Maybe just that's my way of rebelling of having to wear them all the time now to see stuff. because I so much prefer to not have them. But then I wouldn't be able to read your chats or see the food or anything else. So there we are. Let's see, a caramel apple fan, no plain ones. I think I like plain apples if you get the right kind, actually. I don't like, I love cooking with Granny Smith apples. I don't like eating them plain. I love Honey Crisp apples. Jazz apples are one of my favorites. Galas used to be, but now they kind of seem mushy to me. That's just me, maybe. All right. It's like there's not a bowl in front of me. So, Kelsey, maybe you got your messiness and your sloppiness from me. It's funny, whenever Kelsey comes into town, the dogs always sit at her feet when she starts eating, as if they know. All right, so what does this say to do? Cut apple halves lengthwise. Okay. I think it's a little early to do this because we haven't even started the rest of this, and they're going to brown. All right, so we're going to leave these here. We're going to start creaming the butter and sugar. And you want to cream butter and sugar. If you don't bake, you want to cream it. You want to cream those things until it starts to look fluffier and lighter in color. I can't remember why you want to do that, but it does make a difference when you're baking things. Okay, so we're going to do that. And I need a cup of butter and 1 1/4 cup sugar. I also need 2 more tablespoons of butter. We'll get that in there. I'm coming over here because this is where my mixer is. Should I bring it up? Would it be easier if I brought it over here? Okay. Put foil on that and saved you a dish to have to do. All right. So I have my butter. I had it coming kind of to room temperature for this. It's still a little chilly, but it's a little bit softer. I don't know why I do this to myself. I always try to cook way too much food than I have time to cook. Robbie can attest to that. So 1 1/4 cup sugar. And let me go grab 2 more tablespoons of butter since I forgot to do that. I thought about just putting the camera on the meat braising all day long. Because I've seen people like turn their green egg on and just being on all day and watching it smoke. And I mean, do you guys use that for like atmosphere? Like I'm gonna pretend I'm sitting out there with my beer watching the meat smoke. I mean, I think that's okay if you do. So, let's see here. Yeah. Do I look lost? Looking at the
wrong recipe. All right, so now we're going to add the egg yolks one at a time into here, except that mine aren't quite that way, so we'll just pour a little bit in there. I will tell you, baking is not my strength. I have a couple of friends who are fabulous bakers. I can bake okay, but I usually do like crumbles. I'm pretty good at pies. My mom used to make parfaits all the time. That's what we always had for dessert. Trifles or parfaits or something like that. Scrape down the sides to make sure everything gets incorporated here, and then we'll go put flour and all that stuff together so that we can add that to the batter. Okay, so next we need to put together the flour, cornstarch. It says for cream of tartar. I don't have cream of tartar. I forgot to check on that before I went to the grocery store today. So I'm gonna use cream of tartar as an acid, and so you can use a little bit of lemon juice instead of that to still get that acidity. And baking powder and salt twice. I don't know what that means, salt twice. I need how much flour? I need 2 cups of flour. You're in my way. You know me, I'm all over the place. Alrighty, we're gonna do this. And if you don't bake, there is one rule my mom always taught me, which I did not do with the sugar, so shh. But that's to fill this up and then level it off. It does make a difference when you're baking if you're off on your amounts of stuff, where it doesn't make as much of a, may make a little bit of a flavor difference, but it won't make a difference in how it rises and stuff for regular cooking. All right, and then I need, what else do I need? Okay, I need 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Now I need to go back to the pantry. And you're in my way again. I think I need baking powder, so I'll grab that too while I'm back there. Does everybody's drawer, like, of your stuff, do they look like this, like mine? Like just a great big giant mess? Because I can't figure out, at 52, I haven't figured out how to make those drawers be neat. Like my spoons and stuff are pretty neat. You know, like here's spoons. Let me put that away. Spatulas. And then, so things are a little bit neater there, but I can't, for all these little things like this, I can't figure out. All right, so this has 2 tablespoons cornstarch, which is odd. I don't think I've ever had that much cornstarch in a cake. All right, and then I need the
tartar, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna do a teaspoon of baking soda. I'll put the lemon juice in when I put milk in at the end. So we got that. Woo! Okay, and then some salt. Half a teaspoon salt. This is what my mom kept salt in, so that's why I use that. All right, we're gonna stir that all together. Oh, it says add another bowl, bake your powder, gradually beat in creamed mixture. Okay. And there's a very good reason you want to do this slowly, because otherwise the flour will go everywhere. We still have to go slice those apples up, and I need to prep the pan. So once we get this in, we'll put the milk in and let this mix for a little bit. Scrape down the sides. Boy, look at that. That doesn't look like cake batter at all, does it? Anybody here ever made this kind of apple cake before? 1/4 cup milk. I don't normally measure my liquids in these, but my other one had wine and stuff in it, so. Mix up, we're gonna go finish slicing the apples. Alrighty, any questions? Let's see here. Hi, M. Mitch. How are you doing? How are things going for you? How's everybody else doing? Oops, this said don't cut all the way through. Maybe it'll be easier if I go this way. So I can fan them out. Sort of. Don't cut things the way I'm cutting them. This is how I cut my fingers all the time. Do as I say, not as I do. My kids love that. That was their favorite. And like I said, I don't even know if this will be out of the oven in time. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I'll let you guys know. I haven't started any social media sites for this yet, but would it be helpful for you guys if I had like a social media account for this and I like posted what I was making and maybe some ingredients and stuff that you might want to have on hand if you want to cook it, since I'm kind of doing this as I go. Like, it's not like a cooking show that's like a 30-minute cooking show that they cook something that takes 6 hours to cook, right? Because I was thinking of doing that. My youngest suggested I do that, since I'm kind of doing this in real time. Wow, it's already 6:20. Holy cow. Okay, we're definitely not getting this cake done today. Well, I mean, I'll have to finish cooking it, but I'll have to show it to you later because we're going to pull some food out here pretty soon. Because I'm guessing you guys don't want to hang around for like 3 hours. That's a long time, but you're always welcome to. All right. See, they said I'm supposed to do this so I can fan out the apples. Anybody who knows me who's watching, don't yell at me later for cutting my apples this way. Or yell at me, it's fine. I probably deserve it. So I think we figured out how to keep Rocky quiet during a broadcast, which is just give him a bone, give him a gigantic bone from the butcher. One of my favorite TV shows is Worst Cooks. And so I sit there and go, I can't believe they're doing that. And then I find myself doing that in the kitchen too. Even though I don't think of myself as a worst cook. Okay. I forgot to put the lemon juice in that batter, didn't I? Get that in there. There we go. Got it. Okay, this batter looks pretty good now. Okay. I always had a gigantic sweet tooth and love to lick all the batter off of the, off of this when we were cooking, baking, while my mom was baking. My kids liked it too, but I don't think as much as I did. All right. I don't know what I'm doing. This is terrible. But I'm not going to get mad. It is what it is, right? Okay. And that is one thing I try not to do in the kitchen too much, because I know that my mom, whenever something would get messed up and we'd be having people over, she'd really beat herself up about it. And then we didn't get to spend time with her because she was beating herself up for something not going right. And most of us never even knew that something wasn't going right. And so that's kind of for me, the moral of the story is most of the time people don't even know. Like if you mess up your lines, if you didn't say your speech right, if you forgot something, they're not going to know. I say as I point out everything I'm doing wrong, right? But again, do as I say and not as I do. Okay, so we need to prep the pan. This calls for a springform pan, which has a bottom that comes out of it, so it's like the side is a spring. And so I really like, unless a recipe calls for something different, I think that like using Crisco to prepare a pan is better than using a cooking spray. Butter works pretty well too, so if a recipe calls for that. But for baking and stuff, I really like to use the Crisco, and I love that it comes in sticks now. For those of you that are closer to my age, if you remember when we had to scoop it out of the big thing and plop it in and then use paper towels to spread it around inside the baking things. And while this didn't ask for this, I think this also helps is when you put some flour in there and knock it around so it sticks to all of the Crisco or the butter.
rest into the sink where your professional dishwasher will clean it up for you. And then let me get my recipe one more time and see how it's supposed to be assembled. Okay, so this wants me to put the batter in first, which this is thick batter, man. So get all that batter in there. I promise you we're gonna get the rouladens out and we're gonna get everything out of the oven here real quick. As soon as I get this in the oven, I thought I'd have time to make a cocktail. Next time, I'll make sure I have an easier dessert and we have time to have a cocktail together and chat. Twitter is a good start. King of April says Twitter is a good start. Okay, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking Twitter might be a good place to reach out because I hear that Facebook is for old people. I have a Facebook account, but I can certainly make a Twitter account for this and give you guys a link to recipes. Even though you can see I don't really stick to them, but I can tell you what I did, at least. Okay, so we've got that. Now we're supposed to press these with the round side up into the top of it. That's what it says. There's some browning on the apples, that's okay. Do that. I have way more apples than I have space for them. So we'll go like that. Okay, so that's what it's looking like going into the oven. I have no idea if that's what it's supposed to look like, but we'll find out at some point. Okay. So we are going to take the rouladens out. This is the potato salad. So hopefully that's really good. This is cooking down. Let me stir that. I think that was this one. You want to look at that? Look at how good that, oh, it smells so good. It smells like my grandma's red cabbage. Okay, now let's look at this. When do I usually burn myself, Robbie?
All the time?
When I take things out of the oven and set them on the stove and forget that they've been in the oven.
Then too.
That's when I usually do it. All right, look at this. Look at all of that. All right. So what I should do next is take these rouladens out and take that juice and make it into a nice gravy. And there's a couple things you can do. We can run it through a not a colander, a strainer, and get all the vegetables out of it. And you can use you can either toss the vegetables out because it's already put a lot of flavor into the au jus, or you can put it in a blender and get it down to a liquefied form and then whisk it into there. If you want a thicker gravy, you can add some cornstarch or some flour, cornstarch or flour slurry to it. So if you're unfamiliar what a slurry is, it's just taking a little bit of the flour and adding water to it so you're not putting dry flour or dry cornstarch in there, and it keeps it from getting lumpy when you put it in there. Or you can just use it as an au jus and kind of pour it over the top of your rouladens. So there's a lot of different options there as far as what you want to do with the braising liquid when you're done with it. So I think, let's see, we're at 6:30. Would you, do you want to see me make the gravy? Yes
Robbie is saying he would like to watch me make the gravy. I think that's just because he wants to eat the gravy.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you what. I will make. First of all, help me with this, and then you can make me a drink while I am
What
making the gravy.
what drink?
I'm going to have you make me a German brandy Manhattan. But first you're going to have to help me with this. So, because we're going to need to pour. You're going to love me. We're going to need to pour this liquid into another pan. No? I can make, you know what, I can make the gravy with the lumps. We can do it with the whole veggies if you want. Do you mind if there's whole veggies in the gravy?
Put them whatever.
Okay. Let's do this. This will be easier to put into. And we need another thing to wash. Pour that in there. Cool. And obviously, if you do decide to keep the vegetables in, you want to take the bay leaves out before you stick it in a blender. All right, so I'm going to heat this up real quick and get a slurry in there and kind of get that a little bit thicker as a gravy. While you make me, it's a 3-to-1, the brandy to vermouth. Where's the vermouth? Is are the glasses put, oh no, they're in here. They weren't washed. Well, they were Robbie washed before they were put in the dishwasher, right? Yeah. So we call it Robbie washed because Robbie actually washes things completely clean before he puts them in the dishwasher. So I know that if he's washed something before it's gone in the dishwasher, it's actually clean.
Usually, of course, brandy.
Oh, sorry. So this is what he's going to make my Manhattan out of. It is a German brandy. Since we're making German food, I thought we should have a German brandy. He'll be drinking beer, a German beer, with dinner. Alternately, when I was growing up, we always had wine. My grandfather was a very big fan of Gewürztraminer. So to me, that's too sweet for a dinner wine.
3-to-1.
3-to-1, yes. And then a dash of the bitters that's behind you.
Ice, no ice.
No, it's an up drink, but shake it with ice. All right. A slurry. A slurry. Okay, so we're gonna put some cornstarch in here. And then I put a little water in there. So this is what a slurry is. And so you can see it's already liquid, all the lumps are already out, so before we put it in here, it's already been incorporated into liquid so it won't turn into lumps when we put it into the gravy. I generally prefer cornstarch. I don't think it adds like really a flavor too much to anything. Any other questions? Let's see here. Hey, everybody who's come in, Chester King, and we've got Raster. So, yeah, I'm trying to get good at checking the chat. I do try to check the chat. I'll get better at it, I promise, as I figure out what I'm doing. But thank you guys for coming. We're kind of wrapping up dinner here. So we've got, look at that. Look how good that looks. That rouladen. And no, in the glass like the coupe, like I had yesterday. Another coop. And then we've got, over here, we've got some red cabbage. And then I'm making some gravy, and we've got German potato salad, and it smells good. And then I've got a cake in the oven, but I don't think we're gonna get to see that since it's gonna be in the oven for a while. And I'm running out of space over here. Alright. So, but, thank you guys. Oh, thank you, Chester King. I'm hoping it's yummy. But this is one of my favorites, is Rouladens. I love it. I mean, it's got pickle in the middle and bacon. So it's really good. It's gonna be more au jus than gravy-like. How is it? Is it good? All right, so this is my German Manhattan made with German brandy instead of bourbon. Mmm, yummy. That's very good. Robbie doesn't really like brandy, bourbon, that kind of thing. But I do. All right, I think we're about ready to plate here. I'm letting this reduce a little bit to get a little bit thicker, but I think you're gonna have to do with more of an au jus gravy-ish kind of thing. So I love like these kinds of bowl plate things, and when you've got things like gravy and au jus, as long as it's not a big steak, you gotta try and wrangle your way through. We'll take out the toothpicks. My mom never did that for us, so we always had to take them out. I have bitten into more than one on my own. So be careful. I think I'm getting them all out, but I don't know for sure. And then we're gonna get some of the German potato salad that went into the oven. They probably should go in a bowl and be tossed a little bit, so the vinegar and all that stuff. So the dogs can come and eat some off the floor. Whoops. Oh, are the potatoes good? Otis. Rocky's missing the bacon on the floor. All right. So we'll toss that a little bit. This does not look like my mom's German potato salad, but I'm sure it's good. Because again, bacon. I've made a complete mess. All right, let's see here. Hello from Germany. You know, I love to cook for people. It's been really hard the last year not being able to cook for people. And then there's the red cabbage. And there's Robbie's dinner. Do you have a fork? So you're gonna have to come on this side of the camera, dude. So you can show. No making faces. I'll make mine too. Taste it. Tell people what it tastes like. Let me get myself stuff here. All right. So first, let me show you. When you cut into these rouladens, look at that. It's got the pickle, and you probably can't see that. It's got the pickle and the bacon in there, and some onions. How is it?
It's delicious.
Is it? All right. I'm gonna taste it since I added onion this time, because I've never added onion or mustard. I like that. Just a little bit more complex than what my mom used to make and me.
It's very good.
Oh, I didn't put gravy on the fork.
Forgot the gravy.
After all that, come here. Do you want some on the potatoes too, or just on the meat?
Sure.
There you go. All right, even better now. All right. Well, I will try to get a Twitter set up and post pictures of the cake when it comes out, even if it's a total bust when it comes to that. Do you guys have any last minute questions or anything? Thank you guys. It does smell really good in here right now because it's got like bacon and beef and wine and just yumminess.
It's very good.
Yeah. I'm glad you think so.
Smells good, tastes good,
So, any other
looks good.
any other questions or thoughts? Is there something you would like to see me attempt to make? Because I like ideas. Like I said, Kelsey encouraged me one week to cook one color. So I had to think out every meal in a color, which made for some strange pairings. But it made me try new foods too that I hadn't tried before. So that was
Get
good.
creative.
You had to get creative, especially when you get the colors like blue. But all right, yes. How your mom says enjoy doing the dishes.
I will.
So anyway, you know, I always say, so somebody said, I will take the roulade and pass on the veg. I'll tell you what, I always told my kids, just try things. If you haven't tried it for a couple of years, try it, because a lot of things they didn't like at one point, and it's the same for me, you eventually may like, but we don't like red cabbage. It's really good. So, all right. All right. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me today in the kitchen. It's been fun. And you get to put up with me kind of swirling around here in the kitchen. And I will be back on Thursday at 5. I don't know what I'm making yet, but I'll post something, and I will make sure that I name the stream something so that you know what's coming up. Anyway, challenge for you. We have a member named Stubbs that doesn't like veggies. Can you make something that even they would want to try? I can try. Somebody has rattlesnake steak for Cody. I have made steak for Cody before, and I do plan on doing that, but maybe I can get him and Kelsey to come down and visit me, or maybe I'll go up there and we can make it together. But yeah, so let's see, a veggie dish that even somebody who hates veggies would like. All right, I'll think about it. I'll think about that. I don't even know what a rattlesnake steak is. I will do some investigating on that. I do live in Texas. We do have rattlesnakes around. So, thank you guys for coming. There's Otis. He's cleaning the floor for me. Rocky would be cleaning the floor with him if he knew that there had been bacon on the floor. Anyway, hope to see you guys on Thursday. Thanks.